The horizon shimmered in impossible colors, as if the planet itself had painted its warning across the sky. A lone human stood at the edge of the glowing lake, its surface bubbling with corrosive mist that hissed like a whisper of ancient fury. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but Kale's curiosity was louder than fear. Kale had arrived on this alien world not as a conqueror, but as an observer, a problem solver with a mind tuned to the impossible. The locals, species whose shapes defied simple description, avoided the lake entirely. Even the planetary scientists, transmitted via data streams from orbital satellites, had etched one rule into every report: never touch the acid lake. Yet standing here on the jagged cliffs that overlooked its kaleidoscopic surface, Kyle felt a pull he could not name. The lake's colors shifted like liquid auroras, pulsing reds and oranges giving way to sickly greens, yellows, and deep purples. Fumes rose in wisps that danced along the winds, carrying a sulphurous tang that burned Kale's throat even behind the protective mask. The landscape beyond was equally alien. Jagged black rock formations rose like cathedral spires, mist clinging to their bases in undulating layers. Sparse vegetation, if it could be called that, shimmered with metallic hues, leaves folding and unfolding as though reacting to the very presence of life. Kale took a slow, deliberate step closer. The ground beneath crunched with crystalline grit, brittle yet strangely warm. He adjusted the straps of his utility harness, the familiar weight of tools and sensors grounding him amidst the overwhelming strangeness. Every inch of his mind cataloged the lake's anomalies: temperature fluctuations, subtle electrical charges in the air, microorganisms in the mist that glowed faintly under his scanner. This was no ordinary acid. It was alive, or at least aware. A pang of hesitation struck. The rule, etched in warnings and protocols, rang like a bell: never touch the acid lake. But Kale's fingers traced the cool metal edge of his portable research board. Human ingenuity had always thrived in the spaces between caution and curiosity. There was a story in every warning, a lesson in every forbidden path. And perhaps, he thought, the lake was not merely dangerous, it was waiting for someone who could understand it. With deliberate movements, Kale began unloading components from his pack. The plan was simple in ambition, but monumental in execution. A boat, engineered from adaptive alloys and insulated polymers, capable of withstanding the lake's corrosive fury. Every panel, every joint had to be precise, every sensor responsive to the lake's unpredictable environment. As he assembled the initial frame, sparks of determination reflected in his visor. This was more than exploration, it was a statement. Humanity did not merely survive the unknown, it shaped it. Hours slipped by unnoticed. The sun, or what passed for a sun here, a dim amber orb refracted through clouds of ionic particles, drifted lazily across the sky. Kale's hands moved with the fluidity of someone entirely consumed, yet not without thought. Every rivet fastened was a negotiation with risk, every seal a question of human resolve. Occasionally he paused, eyes scanning the lake's surface for any sign of reaction. And sometimes, just for a heartbeat, the waters seemed to shimmer with acknowledgement, as if testing his patience and daring. By late afternoon, the vessel took form, a small, sleek craft, equipped with energy shields and modular thrusters to counter corrosive currents. It was not merely a tool, it was a manifestation of human defiance, a testament to the ability to confront impossibility with reason, courage, and stubborn hope. Kale stepped back, breathing hard, the weight of both fear and exhilaration settling in his chest. The lake lay before him, unknowable and alive, a mirror to humanity's own ambition, beautiful, terrifying, and endlessly daring. Yet, as night approached and the planet's twin moons cast violet and silver shadows across the terrain, a whisper of doubt crept in. What if curiosity was not enough? What if knowledge demanded a price too high? Kale forced the thoughts aside, focusing instead on the quiet hum of his creation, the soft vibration of progress against the alien wind. In that moment he felt the full gravity of his choice. One step further, and the forbidden would become reality. Kale's boat sat ready at the water's edge, glinting under the alien moons. a fragile bridge between human ambition and the mysteries below. He stood silently, imagining the first tentative voyage, the lake's secrets waiting beneath shimmering waves. Somewhere deep inside, a spark of exhilaration, tempered by fear, told him that the journey had only just begun. And with that, Cale stepped closer, ready to transform warning into wonder. Steel hissed against the alien air, sparks scattering like fireflies across the jagged cliff. Cale's hands moved with purpose, shaping a dream from materials no human had ever trusted to survive the lake below. Every movement echoed defiance against impossibility. Days bled into nights as Cale immersed himself in creation. The lake's reflective surface glimmered beneath his work platform, casting shifting patterns across the metallic hull taking shape in his hands. Each panel was forged from an adaptive alloy, one that could resist the lake's corrosive bite, while flexing under unpredictable currents. He coated the hull with layered polymers designed to seal every seam, each microscopic rivet a promise that the boat might not dissolve the moment it touched the water. Yet this was not simply a project of engineering. It was a testament to humanity itself, the relentless pursuit of mastery over the unknown. Cale whispered to himself as he worked, a mantra blending science with stubborn hope. We endure, we adapt, we dare. And in those words lingered the echo of every human who had ever stood at the edge of impossibility. The AI navigation system, codenamed Argo, hummed quietly from within the vessel, scanning the lake in real-time simulations, calculating trajectories, and detecting potential hazards invisible to the human eye. Cale had spent sleepless nights feeding it algorithms derived from the lake's volatile chemical signatures, tuning it to respond as fluidly as a seasoned pilot might. Yet even Argo could not anticipate everything. Some variables, he realized, were inherently alien. Currents that defied standard physics, floating microorganisms that reacted to light and motion, and the subtle, almost conscious shimmer of the lake's surface itself. Isolation crept in with the passing hours. On other planets, humans thrived in colonies, their voices a constant comfort. Here, only the hum of machinery, the hiss of acid vapors, and the distant rumble of geological activity kept Cale company. He ate little, moved less, and slept only in fits, dreams haunted by the lake's pulsing colors. And yet, with every sleepless night, his resolve hardened. Humanity had always risen in solitude, transforming despair into achievement. The vessel neared completion. Its bow curved like a predator's jaw, sharp and purposeful, designed to cut through acidic waves. Modular thrusters promised precise maneuverability, energy shields would absorb minor chemical burns, and the hull's reflective surface was calibrated to scatter the lake's blinding colors, allowing Cale to see the world beneath the surface. Every choice embodied the same question: how far can humanity reach before fear becomes a cage? When the final sensor panel clicked into place, Cale stepped back, breathing in the alien air thick with chemical tension. The boat gleamed under the twin moons, an improbable creation of human ingenuity, a fragile bridge between ambition and caution. He touched the hull, feeling warmth where the alloy had absorbed hours of his energy, and a strange intimacy settled over him. The vessel was more than metal and code. It was a reflection of Cale himself, meticulous, relentless, curious, and daring. Curiosity soon turned to ritual. Each day, Cale inspected the boat, tweaking calibrations, testing responses to simulated lake conditions, and watching Argo's internal readouts for anomalies. He spoke to it sometimes, not expecting answers, but needing the presence of a companion in his isolation. "We're ready," he said one evening, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "Tomorrow, we meet the lake." The lake, for its part, seemed to acknowledge his efforts. The surface rippled with subtle patterns as if observing the approaching trial. Occasionally, phosphorescent currents flickered around submerged rock formations, casting moving shadows that suggested the life lurking beneath. Cale's scanners picked up traces of chemical gradients that shifted when he drew near, patterns no human engineer could fully explain. Each day, the line between natural phenomena and something sentient blurred further. The lake was no passive obstacle. It was a character, an intelligent adversary or perhaps an unwilling partner in this unfolding drama, and then the moment arrived. Kyle donned his protective gear, stepped toward the water, and gently lowered the vessel onto the lake's surface. The acid hissed against its hull, steam curling like smoke rings in slow motion. The boat floated unyielding and Argo's sensors blinked green. A sigh escaped Kyle's lips, a release of tension he had carried since the moment he first glimpsed the lake. He had not been certain the vessel would survive the touch, let alone glide smoothly. Yet here it was, a fragile miracle, defying the natural law with every inch it remained intact. The first test drive was cautious. Kale guided the boat across rippling currents, adjusting for chemical eddies that seemed almost purposeful. The vessel responded flawlessly, its thrusters nudging against sudden spikes in acidity, shields absorbing microscopic eruptions of gas. Each successful maneuver bolstered Kale's conviction. He was no longer merely an observer or a builder. He was a participant in the lake's enigmatic story, a human stepping boldly where no one had dared before. Even as hope surged, a quiet unease lingered. The lake's surface shimmered unnaturally under the twin moons, subtle reflections that hinted at hidden forces. Micro-creatures swirled beneath the hull, reacting not just to motion but perhaps to intent. Kale realized that while he had engineered the vessel to withstand physical challenges, he could not fully predict the emotional and existential test awaiting him. The lake would not be conquered by technology alone. It demanded respect, intuition, and an openness to lessons hidden in its alien depths. Kale stood at the water's edge, watching the vessel glide like a living extension of human ambition. The lake stretched infinitely, its secrets shimmering beneath an impossible sky, both inviting and threatening. One thought burned brighter than fear. Tomorrow, he would journey further than any human had dared, discovering not only the lake's mysteries but perhaps a deeper understanding of what it meant to reach beyond known limits. And as the stars reflected in the acid waters, Kale whispered a promise to the boat, to the lake, and to humanity itself that the voyage had only just begun. The lake rippled beneath Kale's vessel, an alien ocean of color and light, alive in ways no human could have predicted. Each undulation carried the weight of unseen forces, whispering secrets older than memory itself. Every instinct warned him to retreat, but Kale leaned forward, compelled to see what lay beneath. As the boat glided further from the safety of the shore, the surface began to reveal its subtle moods. Colors shifted violently, as if reflecting emotions rather than chemical reactions, while tiny whirlpools formed spontaneously, circling the hull and vanishing as suddenly as they appeared. Kale's instruments buzzed and flickered, struggling to interpret signals that defied logic. Even Argo, the AI guiding his vessel, hesitated in algorithmic uncertainty, its calm, synthetic voice breaking slightly. Anomalous activity detected. Uncharted variables present. Beneath the shimmering surface, life flourished in forms beyond imagination. Microbial clouds glowed with bioluminescence, undulating like sentient ribbons. Larger organisms, sleek and translucent, pulsed rhythmically through the acidic currents, their movements mesmerizing yet unpredictable. Kale observed them with a mixture of awe and anxiety. He felt the sharp thrill of discovery alongside the creeping fear of overstepping his bounds. The lake's currents grew restless. Localized jets of acid surged unpredictably, challenging the boat's shields and forcing Kale to maneuver with precise control. With each movement, he sensed the lake not as a static hazard, but as a conscious entity reacting to presence and intent. The idea was both terrifying and exhilarating. Perhaps this body of water was a sentient ecosystem, a guardian of knowledge, or a test designed to measure the worth of intruders. Kale's thoughts turned inward. Humanity had always stood on the edge of understanding, drawn toward mysteries that promised both enlightenment and peril. The lake seemed to mirror that ambition, revealing truth only to those brave or foolish enough to endure its trials. And yet the question persisted. How much could he push before curiosity became hubris? Hours passed in tense focus, the outside world reduced to color, movement, and data streams. Kale noticed subtle changes beneath the surface, a faint geometric glow, patterns that hinted at structure rather than randomness. Argo's scans picked up an anomaly, a solid mass resting on the lake bed, partially obscured by swirling acidic fog. Kale's pulse quickened. Could it be evidence of prior visitors, or something older still? The vessel descended cautiously, shields absorbing the faint corrosive pulses emanating from the depths. As he drew nearer, the object's shape became clearer, angular and deliberate, etched with markings that defied human language, yet suggested purpose and intention. Kale's breath caught. Here was proof that someone or something had dared to confront this lake before him. Perhaps they had survived. Perhaps they had not. Every instinct screamed caution, yet Kale's curiosity surged. He manipulated the thrusters with precision, skimming the surface of the artifact, careful not to disturb the surrounding chemical currents. The lake seemed to react. Phosphorescent swirls tightened, wrapping around the vessel like protective arms or curious eyes. For a fleeting moment, the boundaries between observer and observed, human and environment, blurred. Kale felt the profound weight of connection, a silent acknowledgement from a world older and wiser than humanity itself. Then came the tremor, a pulse that ran through the lake, vibrating the boat with raw energy. Kale's heart raced as he realized that the lake's consciousness, if that is what it was not merely reactive but communicative. His every movement elicited feedback. Every decision resonated with consequence. He was a participant in a dialogue that spanned centuries, an exchange that tested the limits of human ingenuity, courage, and respect for the unknown. At the emotional peak, Kyle allowed himself a moment of awe. He imagined the explorers who had come before, leaving traces in the alien waters, daring to dream of understanding forces beyond their comprehension. He felt both exhilaration and fear, exhilaration at the knowledge he was uncovering, and fear at the realization that one wrong move could erase not just him, but the fragile bridge he had built between human ambition and alien wisdom. With deliberate care, Kale examined the artifact. Its surfaces were etched with intricate designs, symbols of power and understanding, perhaps a message or a warning. Each line seemed to pulse faintly under the acid's glow, as if responding to Kyle's presence. He could not decipher the meaning fully, but the resonance was undeniable, a connection between species, between past and present, between risk and revelation. The lake, alive and watchful, seemed to hold its breath. Time stretched and contracted in pulses of light, sound, and motion. Kale felt a singular truth crystallize. Knowledge demanded humility. Every ambition carried responsibility. Every triumph bore the potential for unintended consequence. And yet the thrill of discovery, of touching the unknown, was irresistible. Kale guided the vessel back toward the surface, artifacts secured yet enigmatic, the lake calm yet impossibly aware. He stared across the shimmering expanse, understanding for the first time that the acid waters were not merely a threat. They were a test, a mirror reflecting humanity's audacity and fragility. With the artifact in hand, the stakes had changed, the moral and philosophical weight pressing on him. Tomorrow he would face questions not just of engineering, but of responsibility, consequence, and the essence of what it meant to reach beyond the limits of the known. And so the journey deeper into the heart of the lake and of humanity itself was only just beginning. The lake roared beneath Kale's vessel, its surface alive with fury and light. Waves of acid hissed and twisted as if protesting his intrusion, each ripple carrying both warning and challenge. Kale gripped the controls tighter, the weight of human curiosity pressing down with every pulse of the alien waters. The moment the artifact had touched the boat's sensors, everything changed. The lake's normally shimmering surface convulsed with sudden intensity, jets of acidic mist spiking toward the sky, sending sparks across Kale's protective visor. Argo's sensors screamed in warning, systems straining against currents that twisted unpredictably, as if the very essence of the lake had awakened. Kale felt a chill. This was no longer mere exploration. This was a negotiation with an intelligence far older, far wiser than humanity could comprehend. Every instinct urged retreat, yet Kale's hands moved with precision. The boat, a fragile extension of human ingenuity, shuddered under chemical surges and sudden thermal fluctuations. Shields flared, absorbing burns that would have dissolved any ordinary craft, and thrusters fought against unseen eddies that threatened to tear the vessel apart. Yet even as he battled external forces, Kale wrestled with internal ones: fear, awe, and the gnawing realization that curiosity carried consequences heavier than any he had anticipated. As the storm of reactive acid subsided briefly, Kale allowed his mind to drift backward, retracing the path that had led him here. He remembered the childhood fascination with impossible landscapes, the endless nights building miniature models and imagining worlds untouched by human hands. He remembered mentors who spoke of exploration as a sacred covenant, of the unspoken responsibility that came with every boundary crossed. Now, staring into the chaotic brilliance of the lake, he understood that curiosity was never innocent. It was a double-edged gift, capable of creation and destruction alike. Lightning-like flares erupted from beneath the lake's surface, casting brief, violent illumination on strange, flora-like formations rooted in acid-hard crusts. Strange, translucent creatures darted past the vessel, their movements unnervingly precise, almost intelligent. Kale realized that the lake's life forms were responding not only to motion, but to intention. Every decision, every choice he made seemed to ripple outward in consequence. Humanity had reached the edge of understanding, but the question remained: could it handle the weight of what it uncovered? The artifact, pulsing faintly with its own energy, hummed against the boat's sensors. Kale could feel the tension radiating from it, a subtle vibration that spoke of knowledge long hidden. Yet with insight came danger. The lake's reactions intensified, surging around him like a living entity defending a secret. A flash of corrosive waves struck the hull, and Kale's mind raced. Retreat meant losing the artifact. Pressing forward risked annihilation. Every calculation, every contingency he had prepared, felt suddenly inadequate. He recalled stories of human explorers, those who had reached beyond known frontiers on Earth and in space, some returning as heroes, others lost to the unforgiving embrace of the unknown. Humanity's greatest triumphs had always been paired with sacrifice. Kale's chest tightened as he recognized that he too was part of that continuum, a thread in a tapestry woven from curiosity, courage, and loss. Could he be the one to bridge what others could not? Or would this be the final cost of overreach? A sudden surge threw the vessel violently, shields flaring as sensors overloaded. Argo's voice, calm yet tense, cut through the chaos. Structural integrity at 62%. Recommend immediate corrective maneuver. Kale acted instantly, thrusters firing, shields adjusting dynamically, navigating the boat through a corridor of searing acidic eddies. Every second stretched into eternity. The lake's behavior was no longer chaotic. It was deliberate, testing his skill, endurance, and respect for its boundaries. In a rare moment of stillness, Kale's mind wandered to his motivations. Was this about discovery, or about proving that humanity could master the impossible? The line blurred. His ambition, once a source of pride, now weighed heavily, tempered by the stark knowledge that nature or intelligence would not be trifled with. Curiosity, he realized, was not without price. Every step forward demanded mindfulness, humility, and sometimes sacrifice. The lake, aware and reactive, gave him the ultimate test. A massive surge rose from the depths, threatening to overwhelm the vessel. Kale realized that there was only one course of action: to jettison auxiliary systems to reduce weight and risk, placing the vessel's survival and the artifact on a razor's edge. Heart-pounding, he initiated the sequence, feeling the thrill and terror of human ingenuity pushed to its limit. The boat groaned under stress, Argo's voice guiding each movement, and then, with a pulse of energy, the surge passed. Kyle exhaled, muscles trembling, adrenaline still coursing through his veins. The immediate danger had passed, but the lesson lingered. Exploration came with profound responsibility. The artifact, now stable, seemed almost alive with silent approval, as if acknowledging the respect and courage required to face the lake's wrath. Kale understood that the lake was more than a physical challenge. It was a mirror reflecting the moral and ethical weight of human ambition. The lake's surface settled into a deceptive calm, the artifact glowing faintly against the dim horizon. Cale steered the vessel back toward shallower waters, the weight of his decisions pressing on him like gravity. Every moment of triumph carried the shadow of consequence, a reminder that curiosity was never free. As the first stars reflected in the acid waters, Cale knew that the true test was not of technology, but of humanity itself. Tomorrow, he would confront the final questions: what it meant to reach beyond limits, and how to reconcile wonder with responsibility. The journey toward understanding, and the ultimate human truth, was nearing its final chapter. The lake lay silent, its alien glow softening beneath the twin moons. Mist curled lazily from the surface, and Cale's boat floated gently, untouched by the chaos that had raged just hours before. In that serene moment, the weight of all that had passed settled upon him, as if the lake itself was watching, remembering, and forgiving. Cale stepped onto solid ground, eyes tracing the liquid expanse that had both challenged and enlightened him. The vessel, battered but intact, gleamed faintly under the moon's light, a testament to human craftsmanship and perseverance. Every scratch, every scorch mark told a story, of danger met, of precision demanded, of courage tested. It was more than a machine. It was a mirror reflecting the audacity, resilience, and resourcefulness that had brought humanity to the stars. The artifact rested in his hands, pulsating with quiet energy. Its carvings, now fully visible, revealed the story of explorers long gone. Humans like him, drawn by curiosity and bravery, some lost, some survived, each leaving a whisper of knowledge behind. Cale traced the etchings with reverence. This was continuity, a message across time, a reminder that ambition without respect could destroy, but ambition tempered with humility could inspire. Reflections flooded Cale's mind. He thought of the countless explorers who had charted unknown worlds, braved voids of space, and crossed boundaries deemed impossible. Humanity's story was one of courage and sacrifice, of pushing limits and learning from mistakes. And yet every triumph came with cost. Standing here, at the edge of a lake that seemed to breathe with life and history, Cale understood the delicate balance between discovery and destruction. The lake's surface shimmered, alive with patterns of light that seemed almost sentient. Tiny bioluminescent organisms danced in slow currents, responding not just to motion but to the presence of life itself. Cale could feel their subtle acknowledgement, a silent testament to the interconnection of all things. Here was proof that curiosity, when paired with respect, could unlock wonders beyond imagination. And yet he could not forget the peril he had faced, the acidic torrents, the unpredictable surges, the fragile line between control and catastrophe. As he moved along the shoreline, Cale allowed himself a rare moment of introspection. Each step was a meditation on human audacity, the same trait that had led civilizations across the cosmos. It was audacity that had driven humanity to touch the lake, to build a vessel that defied logic, and to survive where others might have failed. But audacity alone was insufficient. Wisdom, humility, and the capacity to recognize limits were equally essential. Cale's thoughts returned to the artifact. Its energy was subtle but insistent, a quiet reminder of legacy and learning. He realized that exploration was not only about reaching the unknown, but about understanding the responsibilities that came with it. The lake, calm now, was both a challenge overcome and a teacher imparting its lessons. Its legacy was not destruction, it was reflection, a mirror for humanity's courage and restraint. The boat, resting in shallow waters, seemed almost alive in its stillness. Cale knelt beside it, hands tracing the hull, feeling the cold, tempered metal. Each feature of the vessel, the adaptive alloy, the resilient shields, the AI that had guided him, was a testament to ingenuity, to human problem-solving when faced with the impossible. It was a monument to the synthesis of intellect, creativity, and daring. As the moons arced across the sky, Cale felt a sense of peace, tempered with the knowledge that life's true lessons are rarely easy. The lake had been a crucible, testing not only skill and courage but character. It had revealed that curiosity carries weight, that exploration demands care, and that survival alone does not define greatness. True achievement lay in understanding, in respect for the unknown, and in the continuity of human effort across time and space. Cale gazed once more at the artifact, seeing in its subtle pulses a narrative of warning and encouragement. It spoke of those who had dared before, of victories tempered by failure, and of the enduring human spirit that refuses to yield. This message, etched into alien stone and preserved by time and chemical fury, was a covenant, a reminder that humanity's reach must always be paired with wisdom, that each act of discovery carries echoes for generations yet to come. The alien sky reflected in the lake's surface, shimmering with colors beyond comprehension. Cale realized that the world he had touched, alien, beautiful, dangerous, would remain with him forever. The lessons of the lake, the artifact, and the vessel were indelibly stamped upon his mind. He had survived not because he was reckless, but because he had combined courage with careful thought, ambition with respect, and curiosity with insight. Humanity's legacy, he understood, is written not just in triumphs, but in the balance of daring and restraint. Cale stepped back, leaving the boat and artifact as silent witnesses to human determination and humility. The lake stretched endlessly, serene yet full of hidden wisdom, a mirror of what humanity could achieve when daring met understanding. As he departed, Cale carried with him the quiet satisfaction of survival, the awe of discovery, and the bittersweet realization that every act of curiosity carries both promise and responsibility. In that moment, the lake was no longer just a hazard. It was a teacher, a guardian, and a legacy, reminding all who would follow that humanity's true power lies not merely in reaching the unknown, but in knowing how to honor it.